Okay, uh, very good evening. Thank you for taking the time off, number one, to join us in this session this afternoon, and also for the fact that you're showing interest in this particular initiative, which we actually started way back in June with regards to the equity crowdfunding. For those who have not been introduced to me, my name is Captain Kenneth Koo, and I am the founder and also director for Celestial Marine Seafarer Training Center, or Seamaster. For those of you who are new to what we call as equity crowdfunding, we're going to play you a video by our platform operator, which is MyStarter, and that will sort of like give you just some kind of feel with regards to what equity crowdfunding is before I come in with my own presentation with regards to Seamaster's initiative with regards to crowdfunding. Okay. If you can't hear the sound, just let me know. I think it should be okay.
As an investor, how do you manage your investment? Unit trust, stock market, real estate. Well, have you ever heard of equity crowdfunding? Equity crowdfunding is a method for businesses to raise capital from crowd.
Sure.
Companies could sell a portion of the available equity to investors via the internet in exchange for development funds. And the entire process is transparent. What are the benefits of equity investments? Investors have the chance to be involved in potential business opportunities in the market and are able to support the most promising companies at an early stage. Let us share some real-life success stories. Before Apple went public, Mike Markula, as an angel investor, anticipated its potential. He then exchanged 30% of Apple's equity with $92,000. In 1980, the company was listed, and as the shareholder, the total net worth of Mike Markula reached $200 million, about 2,200 times more. That's why there is a quote that says, "Wealth comes from equity, investing in companies' equity to accumulate wealth, and you can do it too." Another advantage of equity crowdfunding is that you can choose investment packages based on your preference. According to the guidance issued by the Securities Commission Malaysia, investors can be divided into 3 categories. Within 12 months, retail investors cannot invest more than 50,000 ringgit, and angel investors can only invest up to 500,000 ringgit, while sophisticated investors can invest without restrictions. Besides owning company equity, some companies will also provide additional services, products, dividends to reward the investors. What should you consider when investing in stocks? Investing in the equity of small and medium-sized enterprises is a long-term investment option, which might take 3 to 5 years for profit. Before investing, research the company's background, financial status, core team members, and shareholders' benefits. But please bear in mind, high risks are often accompanied by high returns. When you see the company that you invested in is acquired, refinancing plan, share transfer, or listing, it's time to monetize. You may choose to exit to make a profit or wait for the listing to be converted into stocks on the market and sell them publicly to cash out. Why choose MyStarter? MyStarter is an equity crowdfunding platform that is recognized by the Securities Commission Malaysia and has successfully helped companies in multiple fields to raise funds legally. To protect the rights and interests of investors, we set up different barriers. Firstly, your investment amount will be stored in a third-party trust account. If the crowdfunding fails, you will get a full refund. When the project is successfully crowdfunded, you will have a 6-day cooling-off period to consider whether you want to continue investing or not. If you choose to withdraw during this period, you will still get a full refund. If you decide to proceed, you will receive an LLP signed agreement. So, what is LLP? LLP stands for Limited Liability Partnership, used for equity structure arrangements, usually accounting 10 to 30% of the company. Once the agreement is signed, you will formally become a shareholder of the company together with other investors. If the company is sued, you as a shareholder do not need to bear any criminal responsibilities and debt liabilities of the company. How to start equity investment? Firstly, visit MyStarter website and register an account. After the review process, the activated account is good to invest. With the advancement of technology and internet, equity investment that is operated through the internet is gaining more and more traction. Today is the era of mass entrepreneurship and innovation. So what are you waiting for? MyStarter has handpicked multiple equity crowdfunding projects and is ready to assist you. Visit our website for more details. Become an investor of the enterprise. As an investor, how do you manage your...
Okay, for those who have just come in, welcome. And that was just an introduction video with regards to equity crowdfunding. Just some additional info with regards to ECF. There are 10 approved ECF platform operators by the Securities Exchange of Malaysia, and MyStarter is one of them. As of December 2019, they have accumulated almost 74 million in terms of investments via ECF. And as of September 2020, it has taken a jump. It's now 29 million. And why we have taken this route with regards to crowdfunding is because in Philippines, actually some of the institutes, the maritime training institutes, are actually funded by seafarers, and that's where the idea came to me during the pandemic, with regards to expanding our services to regionally and then later on internationally. Before I move ahead with my presentation, anything with regards to equity crowdfunding that you'd like to ask before I move on to the presentation? You can unmute yourself and raise the question if needed. Well, in actual fact, I also had to learn a lot about this when we started off a few months ago, and it took some time before I got used to the concept of equity crowdfunding. All right, so let's move on to the presentation. Some of the items which you see here, you would have already seen in the initial document that was distributed with regards to the crowdfunding part. However, I'm just going to run through certain parts of the presentation, and later on, probably at the end of the presentation, with regards to our situation crowdfunding, you can raise the question, and then after that, I'll come with the so-called the fund, what do you call it? The funding part of this, right? How basically you move on to the next stage with regards to the investment. Okay. Let me just check on the audio first. Right. Okay. So I think we are clear now. All right. So this is the first session out of at least 3 to 5 sessions that we're going to be doing for the various interested parties. As you probably know, some of those who sent in their feedback are not able to join us due to scheduling, but we will be conducting similar sessions later on so that we can cover as many people as possible. Right. So this is us, Seamaster Marine Seafarer Training Center, or more widely known as Seamaster. This is our scope now. As you can probably see, there's something new as compared to what we had previously. We've got the VR systems, we've got e-learning, and also we've come in with regards to cloud simulation for the training of the seafarers relating to the STCW certification. Okay, When you look at the Malaysian Maritime Cluster, you see that maritime education and training is right in the middle here, and plays a large role in supplying the skilled and semi-skilled manpower to almost all the maritime clusters that you see around here. And considerably, during the pandemic, what has happened is that sometimes challenges brings about opportunities, and that's when we were looking at what was happening within the maritime education and training industry. We saw that there was something that we could work on in terms of making sure that what we experienced previously during the pandemic, with the restriction and the suspension of the operating of the institutes, at least does not impact on us as much as it did recently. And if you look at the pandemic, you see what has happened during the pandemic. You see that it has brought forward, number one, it has brought forward the digitization of approved maritime education and training by at least 3 years in Malaysia. It could be more or it could be less in other countries, but in Malaysia, we were not expecting this for at least another 3 years. So that's why I mentioned that we have brought forward, okay, digitization of maritime education and training via online approved training, as well as cloud simulation, and also a mixture of both, which is physical and online session. What most of the seafarers call nowadays as Part A and Part B. That one we call as hybrid training or blended training. Okay. Right. Okay, one moment. Okay, all right. So that is the first part with regards to the pandemic. Secondly, post-pandemic, we have decided that in terms of Seamaster, yes, we will continue to consolidate our presence in MET in Malaysia. But now, okay, our next target would be beyond Malaysia. And in our case here, we have chosen the Bimiaga region as the next stage of our expansion. Why? Because our location in KK, which is considered to be a hub of connectivity for this particular region. And based on the survey that we have done during the pandemic, because we had a lot of free time, we estimated that there is a capture market of about 75,000 seafarers, active and new, within this Bimiaga region. So that is at least 3 times the number of, with regards to the current number of seafarers that is in Malaysia. So we are moving, what we're planning to do is moving beyond Malaysia now. All right. Thirdly, with that in mind, taking into account the fact that KK is considered the hub of connectivity for Bimiaga, we are consolidating and placing more effort in Sabah as compared to Sarawak. For those who have been to our previous institute in KK, you probably see that we have shifted to an area which is more strategic, more localized. We've got a bigger so-called entity or bigger institute now in KK, and that is in anticipation of the expansion that we're planning to do into the Bimiaga market. Additionally, we have also come into an area. The area is called the Aeroport Commercial Square, which within that location has also got the Aviation Training Institute, and it is also a place where the oil and gas and the offshore training activity is co-locating with us in order to consolidate 3 specific or 3 highly specialized training industry within one location, which is aviation, maritime, and oil and gas. And that is why you see in part of our logo there, you see the acronym of AMOG, which stands for the Aviation, maritime and oil and gas education edu-hub at Aeroport. So we've got three different so-called entities, or three different specialized skill training within that area. So with that, additionally, initiatives are also being placed, fingers crossed, to open up our certification to outside markets, okay, other than the ones that are some of the other, our current maritime academies or universities are doing. And if we still believe that our Malaysian Marine Department certificate carries a bit more professionalism, reliability and credibility as compared to certificates around, especially in the BIMIAGA region, then I would think that we're on the right track. Whether expanding the training via online, hybrid, cloud simulation, or physical training for that matter. So we are working with regards to that. As can be seen, certain trainings have gone online, certain online simulation trainings have already started, and we are hoping that certain relaxation can be undertaken in order for us to allow us to market this approved training outside of Malaysia. Okay. The next reason why we have consolidated everything in Sabah, and also one of the main reasons why we are looking at this particular crowdfunding, is that there are currently not a single diploma or degree programs related to the maritime, ports, and shipping industry being offered in Sabah per se. So with that in mind, we have already started work with regards to planning for the first program to start in KK in Q3 of 2022. But it is not only with Sabah in mind, but we are also having an eye with regards to the BIMIAGA region. Now, not forgetting, in 2024, in addition to having the various Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Palawan, Mindanao, Brunei, Labuan, and all that, in 2024, the capital of Indonesia is going to move around less than 1 hour flight away from KK, and that's going to happen on the east coast of Kalimantan. With that, of course, it's going to bring about development, it's going to bring about more population, and additionally, related to us, it's going to bring about a potentially bigger market, capture market with regards to the maritime and oil and gas industry. Okay. Additionally, the last part is, with the ever-increasing demand for technology in maritime education and training, we have managed to work out an arrangement with an international simulator manufacturer in order to undertake the transfer of technology to help us develop the first made in Malaysia marine and offshore simulator under the banner of Seamaster Simulation. I think one of their representatives, who is the director of global marketing for that particular company, is somewhere in the group here. Maybe we can get him to say a few words once I'm done. All right. So so I hope this explains things with regards to why we are looking at this particular crowdfunding for expansion. There are at least another 3 or 4 other reasons, including cruise ship training, including the domestic shipping market, and including the fact that we have already developed the Maritime Education and Training Blueprint 2020 to 2030, which is part of the requirement of the Malaysian Shipping Master Plan. I hear that that's going to be reactivated again. So that's part of the requirement of the Malaysian Shipping Master Plan. And within the Maritime Education and Training Blueprint, there are various so-called opportunities for maritime institutes to develop their capabilities and capacities. Okay. All right. So the problem with regards to the industry now is we've got around 12,000 local. When I talk about 12,000 local, I'm looking at the BIMIAGA region. This does not include the numbers from West Malaysia, and an additional 75,000 from the BIMIAGA region, from the other parts of the BIMIAGA regions outside of Malaysia, whereby there is a severe lack of access to not only online, not only virtual, but even hybrid or blended and physical training for entry point and continuous professional development, as well as upgrading courses. So this is where we aim to move in and try to fill up that gap. And with the fact that within BIMIAGA, Sabah is seen as so-called one of the regions that are considered, ahead in a few as compared to the other areas, then the other regions, then we feel that this is probably a good opportunity for us to bring our services out via the Sabah business community. Next, the demand for credible diploma and degree or dual certification program locally in East Malaysia. Like I mentioned just now, we don't have that in Sabah. So once we bring this in, it's not only for the Sabah market, it can be for Labuan, it can be for Brunei, it can be for the other regions in BIMIAGA. So the solution is basically what we currently have here with regards to, as an improved maritime training institute, we've got classroom-based training, we've got marine simulation, physical, we've got cloud simulation, which is virtual, and we can have hybrid training, online and physical, as well as the other services which I mentioned just now. Of course, the final two items there would be something that is coming soon. Okay. With regards to BIMIAGA, as you can see here in the map here, we are right smack in the middle of the whole region. And based on the estimated capture market, the BIMIAGA area has got a population of 57.5 million. As I mentioned just now, out of that 57.5 million, you've got 75,000 current, active, and potentially new seafarers coming in. Not only seafarers, but even marine logistics guys for the oil and gas industry, as well as the balance 12,000 coming from Malaysia. Okay, so that's the capture market we're looking at. Not only that, if you look at BIMIAGA's social, cultural, and educational targets, one of the pillars with regards to BIMIAGA is developing highly competent human resources needed by this particular community, by the BIMIAGA community. And one of the main areas or industry is is connectivity or transport industry. This includes ports, this includes ships, this includes water transport. So we find that our activities in terms of developing skilled professionals has got high potential and will be in high demand. It is marketed and promoted aggressively. Okay. All right. Next. Okay. So why Seamaster? As you probably know, based on our research, currently we are actually at the only multidiscipline edu hub currently within this region, which is aviation, maritime, and oil and gas. Of course, in 2018, it was a high point for Seamaster for being awarded the best performer for Maritime Institute. Now, with the Human Resource Development Fund being rebranded as HRD Corp, we have already gotten approval as one of the SBL HUS, special SBL institutes, whereby we can actually move towards claiming for courses across the board for maritime shipping and ports industry, as this is considered a specialized sector. We are also registered for government contracts under the e-Perolehan requirement. Some of our main preparatory courses, it allows for EPF withdrawal under account number 2. We are currently in the process of getting Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran registration for SKM level training in order to allow the candidates to tap onto the PTPK funding, which is the skills training equivalent of the PTPTN. And of course, we are working with the various banks and financial institutions in Sabah for getting loans, scholarships, as well as grants for our soon to be commenced diploma and degree programs, right? So the target now, based on what I've explained earlier, is we've got a 3 to 5 year target milestones. Within 3 years, we're looking at capturing the 75% of the maritime and 35% of the oil and gas market share in East Malaysia. The oil and gas part will be with our associate partners. Within 5 years, 25% of the maritime training and also 10% of the oil and gas market share. This is in the Bimiaga region. Just now was East Malaysia within 3 years. Why? Because we're going to need that first 3 years to develop and expand towards the Bimiaga region. So 25% of the Bimiaga region market for maritime education and training, and 10% of the oil and gas training part for Bimiaga region within the 5 years. Within that 5 years as well, we're looking at, with the cooperation of our simulator manufacturer, we're looking at being the main maritime and oil and gas simulator developer and seller in the Bimiaga region. Okay, right. So here comes the dollars and cents part. Okay, currently, Celestial Marine has got is currently valued at 5 million ringgit. This is based on an independent valuation by a company, and that particular valuation can be requested, and we can basically show you that this is what the valuation of the company is currently at. Based on this, with the number of shares that we currently have within the company, which is 250,000, this makes the company valued at about 20 ringgit per share. With all the plans that we have in place, as mentioned earlier, the expansion to Bimiaga and ultimately after that into the international market, we are looking at a valuation of about 20 million ringgit by the end of the maturity period of the ECF, which is the end of the 5 years. So currently what we're doing is we're looking at a minimum amount of investment, okay, of 1.25 million and a maximum of 1.75 million. I'll explain later on why this minimum and maximum amount is important in ECF. Okay, so what we are offering is equity via what we call as the RCPS, or the Redeemable Convertible Preference Share. As you can see, the two words there here means that this share can be redeemed, and it may also be converted subject to the terms and condition of our term sheets. Okay, so what are you investing in? You're investing in a share or in an RCPS, which will offer you at the initial stage, from the first to the third year, a 5% dividend per annum, which means at the end of the first year, this is what you collect all the way up to the third year. From the fourth year onwards, that 5% dividend increases to 7.5%. And at the end of the 5 year, it is 10% per annum. All right? Okay. So this is the target, and this is the number of RCPS shares that we are basically looking to liquidate. So that's the redeemable part. Now, after the third year, at the, at the decision of the issuer, which is us at Seamaster, there is also a possibility of conversion. But the conversion happens at a rate of 2 RCPS for 1 ordinary shares. Now, what is the difference between the two? RCPS means you collect the dividend as stated here in the terms of offer. Okay. However, there is no voting rights and there's no preemptive rights. Ordinary shares means you are a shareholder and you've got, depending on how many percent of shares that you hold, you've got a say in the decision making in the company. So while holding the RCPS shares, you've got to trust what we are doing in terms of the development of the company, in terms of the expansion, in terms of the decision making with regards to the expansion. It will be at our prerogative. However, if and when you convert, then it's a different ballgame altogether. Okay, item number 2 now doesn't apply. Basically, you're part of the company. Okay, all right. So how do you come in with regards to the investment? ECF is attractive because almost all investment opportunities comes with either incentives or rewards based on the products or the services being offered. So in our case, offering STCW training, offering customized courses training, as well as coming soon paper qualification kind of diploma and degree courses, we have listed out various incentives and e-vouchers for the package that you invest in. Now, this is basically, remember, this is on top of the dividend that is being offered in the previous slide. So basically, this is above what was shown just now. Sorry. Okay, so this one is the dividend. This incentives and rewards is on top of that. So you've got a choice, like if you invest in package A, which is a minimum of 3,500, you've got an option of choosing the 3 refresher courses, which for seafarers, they definitely need, especially officers and engineers, okay? Or 2 STCW or 2 customized courses, plus during the period of which you are holding the RCPS, okay, you will be able to claim 10% of all of the other STCW and customized courses that you wish to attend to. We have basically we were doing some sort of calculation, and this is basically worth about 2004, 2005. For example, if you take the 3 refresher courses, right? So that's basically almost 3/4 of the investment already. For package B, which is 7,000, you've got same like what was in package A. However, for the other STCW and customized courses, there is a discount of 25%. As long as you hold the particular, what do you call it? As long as you hold the RCPS, then this is available for you to redeem when you're attending the courses at Seamaster. Package C, similar to package A, but then the percentage of discount of courses rises up to 50%. So I would assume that this would be particularly, attractive to companies who are sending their seafarers for training and are bearing the cost for those training. Okay, so package D would be 35,000. I would think that this is more either corporate or probably companies would probably be interested in this. In addition to what is in package A, you've got 50% off all the customized courses, and of course, we add on another 10% for the diploma, degree, as well as the SKM programs. And this can be valued anywhere between 2,400 up to 15,000. Package E, 70,000, you've got 5 STCW or customized courses and 50% off all the other STCW customized courses, plus an additional 25% off the diploma, degree, and SKM program. And this can be valued at anywhere between 5,000 to 25,000, depending on how you utilize those rewards. Okay, so those funds that I was mentioning just now, okay, which is a minimum of 1.25 to maximum 1.75, will be used within the period of the first 3 years, okay, for the expansion of the EduHub facility. Okay, that would be about 15% of the funds. Additional management and teaching faculty wages, especially with regards to the diploma and degree program, that's also about 15%. The franchise fees for the diploma and degree program, 15%. Marketing and trade exhibitions, especially with regards to Bimiaga region, 10%. For the development of the Malaysian-made simulator under the banner of Seamaster Simulation, okay, the IT project team wages as well as remunerations, okay, that would take about 20%. The product development cost of the simulators and softwares will also take another 20%, and of course, 5% out of those, the funds collected will be used to develop and approve new trainings and courses. We have already started with regards to developing and getting new courses approved, especially the ones that are very much in demand. For example, the GMBSS, GOC, the ROC. We're also looking at possibly having a lifeboat facility in KK, so that once everything is done, we will have all the 3 mandatory required refresher courses in one location for the seafarers to attend. Okay, these are basically revenue models which we've developed, which can be seen also in the, what do you call it, in the coming soon page of MyStarter team here. And of course, if there is any questions with regards to this, you can refer back to us and we can clarify things with regards to this. Okay, now that is the operational part of the ECF. Any questions before I move on to the how do you come in on the funding part? Now, there is also a legal aspect with regards to this, and that will be dealt by our lawyers or by the platform operators lawyers, who will form an LLP, which is a limited liability partnership, whereby all the shareholders will fall under the RCPS, shareholders will fall under the RCPS. It's because otherwise it's going to be messy to try and deal with every individuals with regards to the investment. So once everything is confirmed and the campaign is considered successful, I'll explain what the successful means. Then everybody will be gathered together and the lawyers will come in and can explain to you the processes and what are the documentations that you will need to sign in order for you to obtain officially and legally those RCPS shares. Okay, now what does successful, what do you call it, ECF means? Just now I mentioned about 1.25 million as the minimum. So during the period, now currently we are at the coming soon stage, okay, meaning it's just a prerequisite or prelude towards us going online. We've not gone online yet. Now it's just basically pre-marketing. So once it goes online, okay, it will stay, this particular initiative will stay online in MyStarter's page for 60 days. During that, the end of that 60 days, okay, two things can happen, or three things can happen. Number one, if we fail to reach that minimum 1.25 million, all the amount that you have pledged, all the amount that you've transferred, will be returned back to you unconditionally. Because if we don't reach that minimum amount, we have done our calculation, it would not be worth going into the initiatives which I mentioned earlier. Okay, so if it is below 1.25, then everything will be returned back to you, to each individual, at no additional deduction whatsoever. Okay, so you get exactly what you actually pledged to this initiative. Okay, and this is why it is important for this to succeed. When we do the briefing here, okay, hopefully you can also do us a favor and explain to other potential investors so that we will be able to reach that minimum amount which we've indicated in our term sheet. Now, second thing that can happen is that while at the end of that, let's say 60 days, okay, if in the unlikely case, the investment looks as though it's going beyond 1.75 million within that 60 days, okay? Within that 60 days, if it looks as though it is heading towards above 1.75 million, we will stop the process. Why? Because that's the maximum amount that we wish to liquidate or we wish to offer our shares. Why? Because at the end of the day, the current directors or the current shareholders still needs to hold the majority shareholding within the company. We do not wish to dilute or liquidate too much, because why? At the end of the day, as investors, you want to know that the current shareholders are basically the majority shareholders, and they will be basically making full effort to make sure that this particular initiative is successful. So that's why we basically have to stop if we find that it is going to go beyond 1.75 million. So that's basically the second scenario. The third scenario, at the end of that 60 days, if the amount stays within 1.25 to 1.75 million, then we are okay, we're successful. So the second and the third situation, which I mentioned just now, means that we are good to go. Okay, that means the ECF initiative has succeeded. However, as mentioned in, I think in the My Starter video just now, at the end of that 60 days, upon successful, what do you call it, initiative of obtaining the fund, as the investor, you still have 6 days to think about whether to continue or not, even though you have already transferred the amount to us. Okay, so that's like what we call as a cooling off period. Okay, so when you sit and you listen to the lawyers, whatever they explain with regards to LLP, if assuming you find that, well, this is not basically what we want to do, then you are free to pull out the initiative. That 6 days cooling off period, we have to let you know in advance. Okay, so but if you're happy with it, then after that, all the documentation, the legal aspects and all that will be handled, and all the signing of the agreement will be done. Okay, so that is what successful ECF means. Okay, any questions so far? Let me change the view first so I can see everybody. Let me just see whether I have Captain Shabra here. Captain Shabra, are you here? Maybe you can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Cap.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes,
How are you? Hello to everyone. Okay. Thank you very much, Captain Kenneth, for the description and the introduction. I think what you mentioned about development of made in Malaysia simulators, yes, we have had initial discussions on that, and we are evaluating the best process on how that can be done. In terms of our capability, I'm sure people are aware about ARI simulation and our market share in the marine simulator segment. I'm sorry, I'm outside somewhere in Korea, so please pardon the background and everything. It's just anyway. So going forward, so we are committed to take this forward with Seamaster, and have had initial discussions, and we look forward to more engagement on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Shabra. Okay, hope you are enjoying your time in Korea there. I'm sure it must be a bit quite cold there. I can see you're all sweat with sweaters and jackets and all that. So enjoy your time in Korea.
Thank you. It's about -3 here.
Oh.
So a bit cold.
Okay, all right, Captain. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, all right. So so that's basically the development of the Malaysian-made simulation. But it's like what Proton did in the early 80s, when they initially started. It was 75% Mitsubishi from Japan and 25% local content. So we are moving along that lines. Okay, we're going to build up a team. We've got one or two key members already with us now, and we're pretty sure that we'll be able to undertake the task of developing this within the period of 24 months, okay, at least. All right. Any questions with regards to the operational aspects of the ECF before we go to the what do you call it? The methods of payment.
Cap, I think William Go wants to say something. William,
go ahead. Go ahead.
William Go. Okay, sorry. Because William, you want to say something?
Oh, his audio is not on. Can you type the message in the chat box?
Okay. William, we can't hear you.
It's okay, you can type the message in the chat box if you wish. Okay, while waiting for William, anybody else? Or was the description clear enough with regards to the whole process? All right, okay. Now let me move on to the financial aspects of this. or the fund transfer process. Okay, as probably you would have seen in the message which came with the announcement of the coming soon page of Seamaster via the My Starter platform. This was described in here. Okay, the investment steps. Okay, I think this is pretty straightforward because we already had, I think, somebody who started off without waiting for the presentation today. He already made the payment. He said that it was quite straightforward. So the only thing missing was probably submitting the IC and verifying the identity through the link below. There are three types of investors. One is basically the individual ones. I think it's pretty straightforward, banking into all these account details here, and submission and verification of identity, which will be described in the link here, whereby they require you to, I think, hold on to your IC and snap a video in order to verify that you are actually the person making the investment. Secondly, would be a company investment, company investor. This is only for Sdn Bhd LLP. So similar process, but then they will need to submit additional information with regards to the company itself, and that can be seen in the link with regards to, I think it's here. And there's also a person in My Starter, the account site which you can contact as indicated here, for you to verify the process with regards to the company invested. This is local company. For foreign companies, then there is a few additional steps to follow, and that includes either passport submission or company sort of like info with regards to all the documents relating to the company. So all these are already here, and you can basically contact Jerchi, which has a number here. You've got a number here with regards to the process. In addition to that, you can, in the unlikely case you need further assistance, you can also contact our office at this particular number and ask for any of the accounts department staff, because we will get them familiarized with regards to the process and they can help you with this. All right. Okay. That's about it from me. So I've taken about 1 hour plus, or almost 2 hours, right? So any questions on your part with regards to this? For your information, we intend to go live, meaning we intend to go live with this particular initiative, which you'll be able to see in the My Starter website, which is www.mystarter.com. You'll be able to see this within the next 3 days, if I'm not mistaken. So you can basically have an idea with regards to investment. I can probably show you how